my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today, you guessed it, you know it, we're talking about another new ColourPop collection. This is a wine-themed collection, wine colors, wine tones, wine pun names. It's launching on Thursday, December 17th. The prices that I have listed in this video have not been confirmed by ColourPop, so I will confirm the prices down in the description box, but I want to give you sort of a loose idea of what to expect price-wise when it comes to picking up these new products. And there are a few re-promoted shades in this collection, so I want to make sure to point those out. If I miss any, let me know down in the comments and I will update the description box with those as well too, but I think I have all of them. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. You'll let me know. Okay, so let's start with the fourth ray product first. This is a new one. It's the Vino Serum Boost. The other serum boosts in the same size are $12, so I'm guessing this one will also be around $12. This is supposed to be rich in antioxidants. It's supposed to be rejuvenating. I'm going to show you all the different sides of the box. That way you can really see what they have to say about this product. When it comes to a skincare product like this, there's only so much I can really tell you beyond what is written here on the labels because I haven't had time to really use this. I've only used it a couple times. I do think it's interesting, but I can't really give you a full review. I like to use a skincare product for at least 30 days before I decide what, if anything, it's doing for me. But I do want to give you the ability to see what they have to say about it. And I want to let you know that this is a vegan product. They do state that right here on the packaging. You can always just pause the video if there's anything you want to inspect more closely. And if you're unable to read any of this text, just drop a comment and I'll try my best to keep up with those. But you know, it's kind of a busy week, holidays and things. I do want to let you know that this smells a little grapey, kind of a wine essence of a smell, and I wanted you to see the texture, so here it is in the dropper. Next, we're going to take a look at the Soul Body product. This is a shimmering dry oil. It is the mini size, and these are typically priced at $10. The shade is called Sangria. It is a really rich, sort of peachy, rusty type of color. All the shimmers in here are just multicolored. It's really, really pretty. It's not quite right for my skin tone personally, but I think this would look stunning on tan and deeper skin tones. Really beautiful. We have a new BFF liquid liner in this collection. It's called Why Not? I believe this is a new shade, and these are typically priced at $8, so I'm guessing that this one will be as well. It does have a brush tip to apply the liquid liner, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a live swatch. That way you can really see this product in action, see what it looks like as it's being applied. Has a pretty decent line control. That's coming from somebody who literally doesn't wear a liner and knows nothing about it. But I am going to show you some color comparisons. I'm sure that you're curious to see some of these. They do have a brighter red called Try Me in the liquid liner formula. There's also a brighter red in the cream gel liner called Venus. So those are much more primary reds. Now we're getting into Joyride. This is also a cream gel liner. This is a lot more similar in shade and tone. It's still not quite as eggplanty. First we had grapey, now we have eggplanty. And lastly, another cream gel liner called Charmer. This is probably the most similar in my opinion. But as far as the liquid liner formula goes, there's nothing really similar to this one. It does seem to be pretty unique, pretty special in the ColourPop line. Now we have 3 shades of Super Shock Cheeks. These may be blushes or they may be highlighters depending on your skin tone. First is a new shade. This one's called Brute Flute. It is a pearlized finish. So if you have a medium or deeper skin tone, this will be a highlighter probably. For me, it's more of a blush or blush topper. Next, we have Cruel Intentions. This is a matte finish blush, and this is a re-promoted shade. This has been previously released as a limited edition blush, I believe. I did not have this in my personal collection, so I don't know what collection this was released with, but this has existed before in the ColourPop universe, as has this shade called Cheerio, which I think is beautiful, and I'm so glad that we're finally getting some deeper, richer cheek colors, especially in this beautiful Super Shock finish. It just looks so good on so many different skin types and skin tones, so I'm happy to see it. Here are all 3 shades swatched on my arm side by side. That way you can see the similarities and differences. They do look quite different out of the pan. I also have some comparisons for you. I don't really have any amazingly similar comparisons for these 2 shades, but I do have some pretty darn similar shades to Cruel Intentions. Cruel Intentions may be a little bit less warm, but overall these are pretty darn similar. Now we have some Super Shock shadows. They should be available individually for around $6, and these little duos typically go for around $10. You can see we have the special packaging on everything. It is really pretty. It's really cute. I haven't even taken a breath to say that yet, but I do really love the way this whole collection is themed and packaged. And these 2 Super Shock shadows, you're gonna see one is a re-promoted shade, this one called Muse. It's an ultra metallic finish, and I actually already own this one in my collection. It was just released as a regular Super Shock single. It's a really pretty super metallic rose gold shade. Then we have Wine Down, which is a new color. They also call this an ultra metallic finish, and it does not look like the same finish at all. This has a lot of little gold glitters in it, and just the texture and everything is completely different. You'll see, I'm going to show you the swatches of both of these Super Shock shadows so you can see what I mean. They just don't look or feel the same, so I don't know why they're calling both of these ultra metallic, but I mean, I'm not in charge of that. Now, I felt the need to show you to prove that these are all different Super Shock shadows that I'm about to show you in the comparison, because they look exactly the same, but they aren't. Look, you can see here they are all different. And with the exception of Static, which is just a shimmer and doesn't have any gold glitters, the rest of these look literally exactly the same. This is not a camera trick. I feel like I am seeing quadruple right now. Oddly enough, Muse is more special and more unique within my collection, which I have a lot of Super Shock shadows, but not really, because I already had Muse anyway. So I'm kind of sad they didn't do a little something more with the Super Shocks, because I love Super Shocks, but then this palette makes me feel better. This is the Wine and Only Pressed Powder palette. Should be priced at $12 US. We're going to take a look at the outer packaging first. It's super pretty, has some nice texture, shine. It's kind of giving me Calling Back to All That palette vibes, but a little bit more fancy, a little bit more grown up, a little bit more suburban mom in there, which, hey, I mean, I am a suburban mom, so what can I say? When we look at the back here, we do see quite a few pigment warnings on the back of the palette here. Out of 9 shades, we have 5 pigment warnings. And what does this mean? What do you do? Well, we're gonna just take a little second to talk about it. The first thing you need to do when you see shades like this, if you're not sure how you react to these pigments, just patch test on that softer skin on the inside of your arm, because it's more similar to the thinner skin around your eye than, say, the tougher outer arm skin. I know that sounds weird, sorry. Just let that shadow sit on your arm for a few minutes and then wipe it off and see if you have any staining, any irritation, any rash. If you do experience any discomfort or any irritation, don't use it around your eye, please. If you don't have any trouble with it, you should be fine, but it is something worth talking about, something worth paying attention to. And just side note, if you do get any staining, you can use a thicker primer to help prevent that in the eye area. I like the MAC Paint Pot, but you know, it's up to you. It's just something to think about, just throwing it out there. Whenever I talk about these eye safety warnings, I inevitably get questions, which I think are good questions. Why should we even pay attention to this? Why is this warning here? Well, you know, the most common thing is staining, which is annoying, but it's preventable. Other people do experience irritation. They may even get hives or rashes in extreme cases around the eye and on the eyelid. And this is rare, but it's not something you want to learn the hard way. Patch testing can help you avoid being annoyed, being irritated, or being in pain. And we like to avoid those things here. Another response I get when I talk about these eye safety warnings is, well, you know, blank country doesn't have this warning, so it's obviously not a problem. And if that's the way you feel, that's totally fine. But everything that I listed above is still true, no matter where you live, no matter which country you live in. Pigments and skin reactions don't care what country you live in. And my goal is for you to have a healthy, happy experience with your eyeshadow because you know why? Because I love your face. And, you know, it's just better that way. So that's why I like to talk about it. And now, you know, we'll get back to the fun part and no more educational stuff. Let's take a look at the Wine and Only palette. It is one of their plastic palettes, so it has a locking clasp closure instead of a magnetic closure, and the artwork is pretty much the same, just a simpler version on the palette itself. On the back, again, we have all of those little safety warnings. I'm glad to see that they are consistent with that. All the shade names are listed on the back. When we open up inside the palette here, there is a nice big mirror, just like all of their other plastic palettes. And all the shade names are listed inside next to the pans. We have 3 true matte shades, 2 mattes with glitter, the dreaded matte with glitter, 4 true shimmers, but hey, there's no pressed glitters, so that's a win in my book. So let's take a look at the swatches of this Wine and Only palette. I will be showing you both finger and brush swatches. The finger swatches are pictured on top and then the brush swatches are directly below. These are dry brush swatches, dry finger swatches, no primer, no setting spray, and let me tell you, these 2 dark red shades, Mull It Over and Vinter, are one swipe swatches with a dry brush. They are so smooth and so opaque. I am shocked. I mean, when you look at that Sip Sip shade there at the beginning, it's not terrible, but it's not super great coverage. Compared to these dark reds, it's insane. I cannot believe it because usually reds can be pretty dry, pretty patchy. These are stunning, stunning. And you know it's exactly what I wanted because do you remember my Dark Blooms video where I redesigned the Ornate palette? I said that it should be a more wine colored palette, and I did rearrange some of the shades in this photo of the actual palette, the Wine and Only palette, but if you look at these 2 side by side, I think I'm a little bit psychic because I posted this redesigned Ornate palette at the end of October. I had not seen this wine palette. I had no idea this collection was coming out. Clearly, they had already put this palette into production, so it's just pure coincidence. But I think they look pretty similar, aside from maybe the bottom row, not so much because I wanted some like really deep royal purples in my version of Ornate. But overall, I think these are pretty darn close. What do you think? Am I a palette psychic? Let's take a look at some palette comparisons. I did as many as my arm skin would allow with all of the swatch removal and all of these stain prone red shadows that I swatched. But I think this is a pretty good comparison here. This is the Huda Nude Rich Obsessions palette. It's way closer than I even thought it was going to be, and kind of the overarching theme of all of these comparisons is going to be those two dark reds are really special standout shades in the Wine and Only palette. You see it here with the Naked Cherry palette. Otherwise, pretty similar, but you can tell those red shades are special and the pigmentation is just insane. It is beyond compare even with these really expensive brands like Urban Decay. Now let's take a look at the FemRosa SHE palette. This is much peachier, pinkier, definitely a little bit lighter and softer. Similar tones for sure, but just not quite the intensity and the depth that we get from the Wine and Only palette. Next, the Ménage à Moi palette. This is from their very recent holiday 2020 release. This is definitely more purpley, mauve-y. Again, just not meeting that intensity and those rich reds. This is more of a purpley mauve type of vibe. Now, let's look at the Whatever palette. This one does have some more redness to it, but it's a lot more orangey, a lot more warm, kind of golden, and just not really wine. But it does have a really nice couple of rich reds, so I will give the similarities there. Now, a OG favorite. This is the Give It To Me Straight palette. And these definitely have a similar vibe. There are a couple shadows that are kind of similar, but overall, not a bunch of one-to-one comparable shades between these two palettes. Mainly just some of the shimmers seem a little interchangeable, but nothing too intensely similar. Now, let's look at the X's and O's palette. This was one of my favorites from last year, and we do see that there are some pretty similar shades. That bright red shimmer shade is pretty much the same, but again, we're not matching that deep, rich red matte shade. Now for our very last comparison, this is the All That palette, and I will say that the mattes in this one are pretty much the closest across any comparisons that I did so far for this palette. This is probably one of the more similar. And after all those swatches, my arm needed a break. So that is it. I want to share with you my top picks. I love these two Super Shock cheeks. Brute Flute and Cheerio are definitely my faves. Cruel Intentions is pretty. I just had other really similar things in my collection already, so it didn't feel super special. Love the palette. I mean, you already know it's my dream palette because I already designed a similar palette and said that that's what I wanted. So I love the palette. I think it's stunning, beautiful. Performance is off the charts. And the Vino Serum is interesting to me. I haven't had the ability to really use it enough to say, oh, this is a great skincare product that you definitely need. But I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I'm listening. And I like that feeling. I like seeing something new and exciting, even from their sister skincare company, Forthright. Now for my not so favorites. Like I said, the pink blush and the Super Shock shadows just weren't super special in my collection, so I don't feel drawn to them. Frankly, the eyeliner looks beautiful. I just don't use eyeliner, so I'm not the person to recommend eyeliner to you. And kind of same for the oil, it's just not right for my skin tone, but I'm really, really glad that we're seeing some more tan and deeper skin friendly options. Finally, it feels like we've seen just a lot of pale, peachy, kind of washed out, glittery cheek and body products. So the richness is appreciated. I'm happy to see it, even if it's not for me. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it should be in the collection, because I do. I'm happy to see it. Now, I wish there were lip products in this collection. I would have loved to see some Luxe lipsticks, or maybe a couple of just a tint shades in some kind of like wine stained type of colors. I think that would have been perfect for this collection. it's a little weird that there's no lips. They've been doing tons of glosses, tons of lip oils. I think this could have been the time to, you know, show us a new formula, throw us back to one of our faves. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you interested in this collection? I always love to hear what you think about things too. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you, and I will see you in my next video. I love your face, okay? You're gonna see my face in the next one, I promise. It's just these quick ones, you know, we gotta turn it over. Okay, anyway, I love your face. Okay, bye!